Hey guys, D.Bowie here, and these are things that I learned from Fear Sven on TI6. Sven's initial items are very standard with the exception of the clarity, since a lot of Svens like to get mangoes first. But since he is against the Slardar, which is a hero that can't easily remove the clarity, the decision is fine. What apparently was a very easy lane for him turns out to be a dual off lane with Slardar and Elder Titan. Instead of banging his head against the wall and trading too much, he immediately backs off and respects their strengths, especially because he didn't have a self to instantly heal after he traded. Eventually, the Elder Titan overextends and a very key IOTP guarantees them the kill, which actually would be probably impossible if he didn't have the clarity. I'm not saying Mango was a bad choice, but having one of the two items was key for the Elder Titan not denying himself. And in the end, that first blood makes up for a lot of CS he was not able to get in the lane.
He's got the mana now. Kaka goes for the deny on Roshan, but they're both stunned together, and Fear will bleed Kaka to death for the first blood. That was the best possible scenario.
After all that, the CS in the lane gets very easy for him, but I really like his item and skill build decisions here. First, rushing Helm of the Dominator is very powerful and can guarantee him a lot of sustain when rotating for the jungle, while give him ancient stacks. But against a hero as fast and strong as Slardar, in the early game with the combination of Elder Titan, he decides to get only the Helm of the Iron Will to give him a little bit of regen and armor, and goes for boots and then treads, before completing his Helm of the Dominator. Treads give him a lot of HP and attack speed, as well as the possibility to tread switch, making him way better in early fights, which is the whole plan of the newbie lineup. Another very cool thing that we see Fear doing is not being too afraid of using his ult in the beginning of the game. A lot of players treat this skill like it has a way bigger cooldown than it actually has. In this clip, he sees PPD being chased and decides to help. More important than that, even though he casted the skill, when the Elder Titan zones him with the spirit, he knows he can't help and backs off. While a lot of players that committed as far as popping the ult and diving the Dire Ancients will try to jump anyway. Right after that, since he doesn't have his ult anymore, he resorts to the jungle because he can't fight back any aggressiveness. Just a little bit after, he is faced with a large camp stack and he is reasonably out of HP. And a lot of players would farm that stack without using the ult and go back to the fountain and then waste a TP to go back to the lane. But Fear knows that he can't send his Helm of the Dominator from the courier after finishing the camp, and he has two supports that can heal his HP and mana. Also, not spamming the TP is very crucial, considering this game will have a lot of fights going on very soon, considering the lineup of Newbie's team. None of the Dire heroes are heavy farmers, but by playing like that, Fear can keep his efficiency up without losing the fight-heavy aspect of Sven. One of the more important aspects of playing Sven is efficiency. In farming, like we already saw, but on mana as well. See how he changes his treads for intelligence when using his ult and Warcry to farm that previous stack?
Get a successful gank on mid, couple Dragon Knight.
The thing about KP though is he's gonna have his work cut out for him this game.
A lot of Sven players sometimes make the mistake of trying to get huge ancient stacks that they will farm when they get Echo Saber plus one item. But more often than not, it's very hard to get more than 4 stacks in ancient camps, and there are times when it's just better to farm your stack. Usually when your team is pressured in tower or fighting in a location that it's too far away for you to help, or when the enemy team can be seen very far away from your stack, which means you can clean it with no risk of getting ganked or contested. Also, Sven got level 6 at 7 minutes, and until now he used his ult 3 times. Even though he didn't have the best lane possible, he made up for it using his ult to increase his farm. The longer the game goes, the more important your ult cooldown gets, because if you pop it at the wrong time, the enemy team can and will abuse it. At this stage of the game though, with Slardar not having blink and no towers being contested, he is playing the hero to its full potential and making up for the average laning phase he had. A little bit afterwards, Sven and his team go for a tier 1 push, while the enemy team is pushing top.
That it's the higher objective.
Yeah. For EG, I think getting into team fights early on
Dire's
unless
middle tower
can
is
start
under
out with a
attack.
numbers advantage is going to be difficult.
Radiant's top tower
And
is
you
under
don't really want to
attack.
slow down the tower.
But they get started during the push and check Fear's movements in this fight. A lot of players would consider that fighting is imperative, and after the ult and stun, they would right-click the Shadow Demon and hope they can get at least one kill before dying. But he knows that after the Shadow Demon purge, he won't be able to hit anyone reliably. Also, the tower never aggroes to him because he is not right-clicking anyone. A lot of reckless players will try to relentlessly click on an enemy to reach him, only to take huge amounts of damage from the tower and from the enemies, while accomplishing nothing. He just disengages until the purge ends, but in the end, he can't lock down or kill anyone. While it may seem like he didn't help his team or played poorly, what he did was the best out of a terrible scenario, as this purge completely counters him, and the best play for him is to start the Shadow Demon and delete him in the beginning of the fight, because he can either purge the Sven or banish someone he's trying to focus. Since he still needs his dagger for it, he has to keep farming, participating in fights when possible, but above all, avoid dying unnecessarily. Right after the fight ends, again we see him doing something very minor that is actually very important. All the Dire heroes are low HP, and Sven is a hero that is very sustainable, especially when you have an IO and Winter Wyvern on your team. Fear keeps farming. All these little efficient and small plays he goes for are slowly stacking up.
Cost them much. Snoopy, Samil, he committed towards that backline, didn't have the mana to get it all the way across the river, and got stuck.
And with this very smart smoke gank, they get a completely different fight. With Sven destroying the Shadow Demon without him being able to cast the ult on him, he can completely destroy the enemy team, even though they were very far behind in kills and his laning phase was not the best.
This aggressive play, 3 blood crashing all the way around. Newbie are pretty grouped up. Here comes the full-on sandwich. They are going to get it. Coming out from Vita with the play. They'll take out full. Universe controlled up by the cold embrace will be able to save his life long enough to be able to get the last one down on the move. Gets some extra damage on the house, trying to stay ahead of him. How? Gets out, but 3 down from Newbie, making 4. KP, top by the Stormbolt. And now it's Evil Genius's turn to reap the reward.
Unbelievable read by EG.Fear. Just assaults the support duo from Newbie. They weren't able to get...
After all that, does Fear go back to base and heal? No, he thread switches to intelligence and TPs to the bottom lane. In fact, during this entire game he never goes back to Fountain. Hey guys, this is it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more of this replay analyzed and breakdown, please check my PVG and A affiliate link. This video will be there as soon as possible, and I hope you guys enjoy it. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe to it. I'm making videos like this every day, and I'm sure something here will spark your interest. And if you really like my channel, please check my Patreon rewards and see if any of them are of your liking. Bye. The first thing we're going to talk about is lane choice. A lot of people think that AEM can only be playing the safe lane, but there are times where it can be smarter to send him on the off lane or even to place him in the mid lane. Miracle and other players already won the mid lane against weak intelligence heroes by draining their entire mana pool in the beginning